Hello and welcome back to the Valley. The Addicts are back in action and we are hoping for a return back to winning ways. Port Vale are the visitors today and Andy Crosby brings his side to the Valley on an unbeaten run of 3 games after bouncing back well following a 7-0 loss on the opening day of the season to Barnsley. The atmosphere is building here at the Valley with less than 30 minutes to go until kick-off. We've got lots to come and here is a taster. As always on Charlton TV, we'll hear exclusively from manager Dean Holden, who I caught up with a couple of hours ago. We will also hear a special message from our women's team ahead of England Lionesses' World Cup final against Spain on Sunday. We will also be speaking to Academy starlet Nathan Asimwe, who has made an outstanding start to his Charlton career. And it is a very, very warm welcome indeed to South East London. It is lovely and warm outside. It's nice and toasty in the studio as well. Wherever you're tuning in from across the world, I hope that you're having a great day so far. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, make sure that you purchase your match day pass for just £10 and spend your afternoon alongside the best punditry pair available, Alan Curbishley, Steve Brown. Feels like a very nice warm summer's afternoon, gents. We're certainly feeling it in the studio, aren't we? Brownie, give a little bit of context. It's quite toasty in here, isn't it?
It's more than toasty. Yeah, it's very warm.
And we're hoping, Curbs, that the warmth and the heat up in here is going to reflect pitch side as well, because we want a response from that sucker blow. I think I'm still wounded from that late winning goal from Bristol Rovers on Tuesday.
We've often said it. Is it the fans that are going to get behind the team, or is it the team that's going to lift the fans? Either way, we need both today. We need it. You know, so disappointing midweek. And when the fixtures come out and you've got 3 home games out of 4, then you've got to take full advantage of that. So it's a must. 4 games in, it's a must win. Yeah.
Brownie, looking ahead to the opposition, Port Vale, what kind of contest are you expecting from them? Because I mentioned in the intro they had a really, really heavy loss on the opening day of the season, but kept a couple of clean sheets, seemed to be consolidating somewhat.
Yeah, you'd expect them to go back to basics after being beat 7. And they have kept back-to-back clean sheets. They beat Fleetwood in a cup as well. I'm expecting. I've looked at a couple of clips of the highlights of the most recent games, and they look like they drop deep in numbers and counter quite quickly through a midfield, sort of box midfield in behind a lone striker. So I'm expecting no different today. You know, I'm expecting compact defensive shape behind the ball and quick counter-attacking. They are comfortable out of possession. I don't think they've led possession in any of the games they've played in, but they still manage to create chances. So it's one of those where I think they'll soak up as much pressure as they can, but look to be dangerous on the counter-attack.
Curbs, Dean was quite pragmatic after the full-time whistle, speaking to him after that result. He was very focused on making sure that the atmosphere was good at Sparrows Lane, that training was focused, and actually quite grateful for the chance to have a game so soon. You've probably been in that position yourself as well. It just stings a lot more, but it is important to keep that focus and take the good things and bring them into today's game.
Listen, the players respond to the manager. And if the manager's flat and the coaching staff are flat, then it don't take long for that to generate into the players. So yeah, I understand that. You know, we knew that it hurt because he took so long to come out to do the press conference afterwards, and sometimes you do. You know, I think he wanted to look back on the game, etc. But you know, yeah, a couple of days later, you've got another home game, 3 points. That's what it's about, and we've got to get the 3 points today. I think we can say if we get the 3 points as an average start. If we don't, then it's a bad start.
Well, look, the atmosphere is building here ahead of kick-off. It is an absolutely beautiful afternoon. The Valley is looking fantastic. Let's hear how the manager is going to set up for today's game. I spoke to Dean Holden earlier on. Dean, thank you so much for joining me back at the Valley. What's the focus been on at Sparrows Lane this week?
Bouncing back, showing a positive mentality, refocusing quickly. The result went against us. However, that was the case, doesn't matter, it did, and we have to respond in front of our own supporters today. So, yeah, get out on the front foot early in the game and get right after the opposition. How are we going to line up for today, and what is your approach to the match? So 3 changes to starting 11. Unfortunately, 1 enforced with Panucci. Kamara's picked up just a minor foot injury, so he'll miss today. The other 2 we've freshened up, so we've got Ashley Maynard Brewer in goal, Nathan Asimwe, Lloyd Jones, Michael Hector comes in, Tyre Wedden, Corey Blackett-Taylor. George Dobson, Terry Taylor comes in with Karoy Anderson, and Daniel Kanu comes in up front with Alfie May. So Lucas Ness and Jack Payne drop to the bench for this one. What sort of challenge are you expecting Port Vale to pose this afternoon? Well, they've had a great response from that sort of freak result, really, I suppose, on the first day. The scoreline was what it was. The stats told a different story, and having watched the game back, it was such a strange game, I have to say. They've responded brilliantly. A lot of respect for their coaching staff, known them for a long time, real good football people, and don't try to complicate the game. They get after people. They put a big focus on second balls. They've got a huge long throw, and they put you under it and they ask you questions. So again, we'll have to stand up to that test. We've got a really strong, experienced partnership in a centre half today. Good energy in that midfield for them second ball, and hopefully we can turn the majority of them into attacks. And we all saw what Daniel could do the other night when he gets in their moments, and obviously Alfie to get off the mark. So. The way they're approaching the game today is to get right after them, as I've said there, and to really put them under pressure, try and stop the direct play at source as much as we can, which won't be easy at times because they're back free. We'll get their team sheet, that's what they've been playing. They play really, really wide, really sort of width for the pitch, so we've got to make sure we get the pressure at the right times, stop the supply as much as we can, deal with it, pick up the seconds, tidy up and play forward, and get runners in behind and really ask questions of them. And last time we were here on a Saturday afternoon, there was a real bounce about the place. Are you hoping for more of the same today? Absolutely. Yeah, our supporters, they know where we're at the moment, and they'll be feeling frustration as much as anybody, but a good result today keeps us right in the mix. And then when we look back on it and go, OK, we've probably not picked as many points as we would have liked, but we're certainly in a decent place. And yeah, all focus on today's game. Good luck, and thank you for your time. Great, as always, to hear from Dean there. So 3 changes to the Charlton starting 11. Let's have a look at that confirmed lineup. And before we talk tactics and stuff like that, massive congratulations to our skipper, George Dobson. His 100th appearance for Charlton today. Curbs, a fantastic performance on Tuesday night. He really is the epicentre of our starting 11, isn't he? Very underrated, I think. When you actually look at his game, I think some people just think that he's a midfield player that destroys, helps out his defence, sees danger. But he's more than that. He's a really good passer of the ball. That's short and long, and when he receives it, he's always aware of what's around him. Very rarely gets caught on the ball. So yeah, he's really improved. And I've said it on a few occasions. I'll say it again. He's one player that would get into our squads. He would get into our squads, because of the way he conducts himself as well. Yeah, that's a fantastic compliment. Yeah, probably the highest compliment you can pay a player in our squad. And a quick note as well that Lucas Ness, who had played every minute of the campaign so far, drops to the bench. Hector comes into the team, one of the 3 changes, Brownie. What's your take on the changes made by?
Oh, he's been out a while, hasn't he, Lucas? So if you look at that in terms of recovering from the injury, he's still a young player. He's still his career's in its infancy in terms of the games he's played. So I think there comes a point when we perhaps are expecting a bit too much from Lucas, and bringing him out is probably the right thing to do, and you're bringing in a player with experience, and we're in a position actually where the team probably needs a bit of experience in that back line because we've conceded goals that have been a bit soft. I think that's fair to say, and probably that's the thinking behind that one. If you just looked at Nathan Asimwe at right back, you know, we're expecting these young players to come in and perform at a consistent level week in, week out of League One when they've never been in the senior side. And so you are going to get these odd mistakes from these younger players. And you have to take that on the chin and you have to develop them as they go. And you have to accept that there's going to be one or two errors. With Lucas, it could well be a minutes thing. It's expecting an awful amount to ask a player who's been out for 6 months to just come in and hit the ground running. He's probably only had one full pre-season fixture, and then he's played 4 on the trot. So I can see the thinking behind that, and it's a great opportunity, I think, to see Taylor in midfield. We haven't seen him yet, but it's another young player who's suffered with injuries, who we're going to have to be a bit patient with as well. And Kanu comes in, we probably expected it to be into a front two, and I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be into a front three.
Listen, I've been critical, not of Alfie May, because we know he's a goal scorer, and if he gets the opportunity, invariably he's going to take it, and he was very unlucky on Tuesday night. I've just been a little bit critical if anything happens to Alfie May at the moment with the injury situation to Chucks and Miles. So I see that as a problem. You know, a bit negative, I know, but I see that as a problem. But the thing I like about Hector coming back into it is there's not too many people doing that.
The leadership, yeah.
We ain't got too many of them. There's George, who does it by example. But that goal we conceded in the 97th minute should never have happened. People drifting into the box unmarked. And you look around and you think, well, you know, perhaps a few fingers need to be pointed. Like, who's allowed him to run off in the box and score? So I'm glad that Hector has come in. And with Brownie on Ness, he's a young lad. And he has injuries, and, you know, he's got a lot of time to progress. So let's see if Hector can offer us a little bit of experience, because that's what I think we're lacking that in some respect.
Yeah, it's very valuable at this level, and it is a full League One programme on match week 4. Gosh, the season's going by quickly already, isn't it? In Sky Bet League One, Bolton and Wigan kicked off earlier in a battle of 2 of the unbeaten teams, and the game finished 4-0 to the visitors as well. Quite a way to end that unbeaten start for Bolton. And Peterborough will be looking to make it 4 wins in a row to start the season when they travel to Northampton Town, while Stevenage, who also have 9 points, travel to Reading. Portsmouth, who are also unbeaten, host Cheltenham Town. Brownie, what have you made of the first few weeks of the season? Any standout teams at all?
Well, I thought Bolton were one of the standout teams. They've just been thumped. So, and that was probably the best game of the day on paper. Those two and
Derby as well, isn't it? It's a derby, I think.
Your geography is way better than mine.
Well,
I should know, shouldn't I? I've played against both, but yeah, it's up north somewhere. Yeah, it's past Watford. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're always going to get the odd strange result early on. I think you're going to get quite a few strange results early on, and we've certainly seen a couple of them. Derby, like, you know, we can have our complaints maybe about the result Tuesday night, but Derby have started terribly as well, and they're favourites for the league, and they've spent some money. And you know, sometimes you get a stuttering start, sometimes you get these surprise results, but you know, you need to find your form in August, and then you need to show consistency.
I'll tell you what, it probably goes against a lot of people's grain, but Stevenage.
I'm really glad you brought them up.
No, I'm not.
Oh no.
You know, there's certain things that you don't like about.
I avoid bringing Stevenage up. I don't want to give them any credit.
There's certain things that you want to avoid when you talk about Stevenage, but that's a fantastic start, and it just shows you what can be done.
Well, that was the point I wanted to make, because they've settled into life in League One in quite some style and substance so far, it seems. Let's move on, because on Wednesday, the England Lionesses, what a performance to beat Australia 3-1 on their own patch. We couldn't have them beat us again, could we, this summer? That would just have been too much. But tomorrow is the biggest game of them all, a World Cup final, the first time that the women's team have made it that far on the global stage. Our own Charlton athletic team had a message for the England Lionesses.
Just want to say a big good luck to the Lionesses this weekend. Go smash it.
A special good luck to Robbo. We're so proud of you here at Charlton. Good luck.
Good luck.
Hi Lionesses, we just wanted to wish you a massive good luck for your game against Spain this weekend. We're all rooting for you here at Charlton.
And a massive good luck to Robbo. Everyone's so proud of you here. Good luck, go smash it. From Charlton, we just want to say a massive good luck to the Lionesses. Go and bring it home.
You're smashing it and we wish you the best of luck.
We would like to wish the Lionesses a huge good luck for the final on Sunday.
You've inspired us all back home. We're really proud, so bring it home.
It's coming home! It's coming home! It's coming! Football's coming home!
Yes, that is very much the mood of the weekend. Absolutely brilliant. Guys, have you been watching much of the Women's World Cup? What have you made of it?
Well, it's been fantastic, hasn't it? I mean, I watched the whole game in terms of the semi-final, and actually when Sam Kerr missed that chance from, you thought, right, here we go, you know, and it was brilliant to see him go up the other end and score almost immediately from that, and then Russo scoring a third was brilliant to see in terms of you knew you were through at that point with the lateness of the goal. So they've done fantastically well. I shall be tuning in for sure.
Curbs, do you think we can do it? Do you think we can beat Spain in the final?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen much of Spain, but they do look a decent side. As you know, I see a lot of the women's football because I help pick the manager of the month and the goal of the month, etc. I think our big asset is our goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's talking about our forwards and sacking players and whatever, but she's different to the rest of the goalkeepers in this tournament, and she's had to be on some occasions, so it's going to hold us in good stead.
Well, that's the thing, Brownie. Tournament football, it throws up so many different scenarios, and in the Euros, Serena Wiedmann didn't change the team at all, but this tournament you've had injuries, whether she starts Lauren James or not. That's kind of a sign as well of some momentum. It's not always about playing the nice football in the group
You've been a
stages.
manager, what would you do? Would she come back in?
I would leave her out.
Would you?
Would you?
Yeah. But again, it's based on, and we said this Tuesday night about Dean's team today, you have to base everything on the next opposition.
Yeah.
And if there's something in that you see that James can offer you, then you'll have to bring her back in. But just on the results alone, the girls have done so well, and it was an incident that she could have avoided, and so therefore that could have cost you your starting place in the final of the biggest tournament, and she's got a very tough call to make.
Yeah, and obviously, if she doesn't start, she ends up on the bench, and there's someone else who's demoted, if you like, you know. So, but that's what she's there for. That's the manager, and if she does it, what a record she's got.
She probably hasn't got a Steve Brown that you can just go to leave out, if I'm honest.
Well, to be fair, can one of the girls that come out for Lauren James go in goal?
Oh, no, probably
One of the
not.
questions that seems to have been asked around so much is whether Serena Wiedmann could take Gareth's job. She's shown whether she could take Gareth's job when he leaves. Putting a bit of pressure on the England boss, isn't he? If she picks up a Euros Championship and a World Cup.
I think she might have to go into the league first.
Yeah, it's
that's coming, isn't it?
It's definitely coming. It's
like
definitely coming. Someone's going to employ the first female manager at some point, and then we'll go from there.
There's a lot of talk about Emma Hayes, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, she's done so well at Chelsea.
Yeah, there's some really good kind of tacticians in the women's game, and the hope as well is that the interest in tournaments like this will come back home in the literal sense, and we hope that you might be able to join us at the Valley next weekend, because Charlton women are in action, and it's going to be the first of at least 4 games to be played at the Valley this season, which is really, really important. Curbs, you mentioned obviously how much of the football that you have to watch in your role selecting the managers of the month. It's Sheffield United who are going to be visiting. How nice would it be to get a really big crowd to support the women's team?
Listen, I think in today's age, playing at the main stadium is a gimme, it's a must. I know it's expensive, I know the club are going to lose money because, you know, to open up the Valley, it costs so much, etc. But it's not going to damage the pitch. Yeah. And I think the more that the women can play on the main pitches, instead of some of the stadiums like training ground stadiums, and it's not right, you know. So I understand not opening up the really big stadiums, you know, but as much as they can do it, and the under-23s, for me, should be playing here as much as they can.
It's our home, isn't it? And every time the women's team have played here, they've got a very, very good track record. So I really would encourage you to come down if you're free and available next Sunday. And it has been a very busy off-season for the Addicts. They've had plenty of new faces in the door. Let's hear from one of them now. This is Kate Longhurst.
Kate, a very big welcome to Charlton and to South London. How's it feel to be here?
Really good. I've settled in really nicely. Everyone's made me feel really welcome, so it's good to be here.
You departed West Ham this summer after 5 years at the club. What attracted the move here?
I think first and foremost, I wanted to come to a club that was ambitious. I wanted to come somewhere where I had a genuine chance of getting some game time, but also trying to be a big part of the club and moving forward. I really liked the ideas that Karen came across with, and just got a really good feel for the club, so that was my reason.
Obviously, you've been in the WSL since 2011, playing at Chelsea, Liverpool, West Ham. What experience are you looking to impose in this Championship club?
Hopefully that. I'm quite old now, so hopefully I can bring a lot of experience to the players. I've played against a few of the players before, but obviously I don't know this league that well, so hopefully they can help me settle in as well. But yeah, I've played in a lot of positions. I've been in a lot of games, so hopefully I can kind of just bring a little bit of that experience and maybe help some of the younger ones. But also I just want to slot in, really.
Obviously, an impressive amount of silverware too. 2 WSL titles with Liverpool. You've reached the FA Cup final with Chelsea and with West Ham as well.
Yeah, I mean, you want to win the FA Cup. Unfortunately, I haven't done that. Who knows? That's a challenge maybe here. We want to be ambitious. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to add a championship medal to that. So we'll see. We'll see for the future.
Having played for several years, are any faces in the camp that you recognise?
Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, there's players I've played against. I haven't actually played with anyone in this team, so it's quite nice getting to know people, seeing how they work. Hopefully they see how I work as well. And honestly, I've been made to feel so welcome here and settled, so it's been a good start.
You have some impressive goals that you've scored across your career. One in particular, an equaliser against Spurs, running up to the camera and saying, "Let's have some of that." Will we be expecting more of that here?
I hope so. I'm not known for my goal scoring, but hopefully I can add a few goals, we'll see. And if there's a camera nearby, who knows, I might shout down it.
Great to hear from Kate there. Brownie, playing in the Women's Super League last season, Charlton have been able to attract her into the team. Good to have that pedigree and experience with our squad, who have got a lot of young players sort of learning their trade at this level.
Yeah, I said that with all the interviews there. It's a young team, isn't it? And yeah, I think it is. I think obviously we've got Ella Rosa to come back. I don't know how far away. I mean, it's obviously a cruciate ligament, so and she was obviously in here. So we've got Ella to come back as well. So I think it's one of those slow burners. It's like I said, you can't rush things sometimes, and sometimes a squad building exercise takes a couple of seasons, and it looks like that's what we're doing. But we look like we're getting stronger and stronger year on year.
That's an interesting one, because one of the major injuries in women's soccer at the moment is cruciates.
Yeah. It is really interesting.
Yeah, and they're desperately trying to get to the bottom of it, because, well, as England are finding out, got so many players that are injured. But yeah, cruciate ligaments from women is a really big thing at the moment.
I think there was a stat that around 30 international players are missing this World Cup due to ACL injuries alone. So the sort of science and investment going into that.
Must be the makeup of the body, or
the physiology.
Put more strength on your knees. You'll know about that.
Yeah, it did happen, Curbs, when sports science was introduced into the men's game. Yeah. There was a spate of cruciate ligament injuries in the men's game in the early 90s, and then obviously as sports science got more advanced and there was more in the game, men's physicality, particularly in the legs, we got stronger. We were doing exercises that made us stronger and stronger, and I did a show on it the other day. I was on the radio and talking about this, and it was fascinating to listen to the data that the doctors and the surgeons and the sports scientists are coming up with to help hopefully prevent these injuries in the women's game. But like everything, we seem to be so slow to react. The data's there, they know what it is, they know what they need to, but it's going to take money to get people into positions to, you know, and that's what football's like. It's very slow when finance are involved to push, you know, people into the right areas to stop these injuries.
There's 30 players.
It's a lot of players. But also Real Madrid had a couple of ACL injuries in pre-season as well, so it's something that affects kind of all parts of the game.
And there's a backstory to it, which is probably why I was invited on, which is how slow they are to repair. In terms of a lot of the girls aren't covered, so the teams are a bit reluctant to and so they have to go and they have to wait months and months and months for the surgery. So look, the women's game's progressing so fast, and what I said on the show was that we're not catching up with it at the moment. We will catch up because it's accelerated in the last few years so quickly, but they have got to get on top of that quick.
Right, well, back to today. Earlier on this afternoon, Charlton TV caught up with Academy starlet Nathan Asimwe. He has almost blossomed into first team life and made it look seamless. Here's our chat with him.
Nate, thanks for joining us. It's been a whirlwind few months for you. Take us back to the beginning of pre-season. What were your hopes and expectations for the season ahead?
At the very start of pre-season, I thought I would come back with the 21s and just be available for the first team whenever they needed me, but obviously I was with the first team straight off the bat. So when that happened, I just thought, let me just stay driven, stay determined to try solidify my place in the squad and then hopefully break through this season.
And you've started every league game so far. How have you found that step up to men's football?
It's been tough. It's been a good challenge physically and tactically. You have to always stay switched on, especially it's different because of the atmosphere as well. I'm not used to it in 21s games and 18s games. Like, it's not that many people, so when there's many thousand fans like screaming and shouting, you have to stay focused at all times. So it's been hard.
You've acquitted yourself very well. How helpful has it been having academy players around you that you've grown up with?
It's been very good. Like, it makes the environment and the vibes in the team more comfortable, I guess, because you don't feel like you're on your own in the journey. So having people around me like Corey, Dan, even the people a bit older than me like Dej, Miles, it's been good. Yeah.
Port Vale at the Valley today. How will you be approaching today's game?
I'll approach it same as always. I just try and express myself, try and run hard for the team, fight for the team, same as always, literally.
And you touched on it there personally, but what do we need to do as a team today to ensure that we get a positive result?
I think we need to start how we started against Leyton Orient, take the game to them and just come out of the blocks fighting. I think we need to try and get the first goal. That'll be crucial today, and then once that first goal goes in, I think we'll take the game away from them.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Nathan there. Curbs, he's only 18 years old, but both on the pitch, off the pitch, in that interview, he displays maturity beyond his years, doesn't he?
We've had a couple of young boys on, and afterwards Brandy or Scott, afterwards Brandy and Scott have said like, oh, they didn't look comfortable, or they didn't look, they looked under pressure doing the interview and whatever. But he looks like he knows where he's going, and he looked very comfortable on and off the pitch.
Brownie, how impressed have you been with Nathan and his start to the season?
Yeah, and it's a lot more difficult than people would think. They just see his name on the team sheet, they watch him, he has a good opening game, and everyone goes, oh, we found another starlet. You can't judge anybody after 1, 2, 3, 4 games, and it's funny enough, after 10 games, he'll start to feel it. Like, because there'll be mistakes he's made, there'll be pressure from the stands. Early on, you're so nervous about being in a team and not making mistakes that you kind of the first few games you just get by on adrenaline. But then once it settles down and there's a consistency expected of you, and then your manager, any mistake you make is highlighted, and it's not like 23s and youth team football. We don't go into a room and go, oh, well, never mind, you've made that mistake, but try and do it this way. It's not like that. It's suddenly you've just cost us 3 points, or you've cost us the game, and if you don't get up to speed quickly in your thought processes, it can really weigh you down. And I agree with you, he showed great maturity, and he's playing okay. He could have tucked in a bit quicker the other night, but let's be honest with you, he was in the 94th minute, he'd just gone out to do a 1v1 tight on the sideline, and it was a long old way to get back in, and there are fail-safes we could have gone to avoid that goal, despite your right back not covering him. We didn't do either. But yeah, I think as a base level of performance, it's a very good start, but that's all it is, and there's a level of consistency you've got to hit when you're in a first team, and it's relentless. It's not like, it's like he said, how are you finding it? Tough. Yeah. It really is tough, and we've got to make, not excuses for him if he makes a mistake, but we've got to understand it, because you're an 18-year-old kid.
Absolutely. Well, Nathan is in the starting 11 once again for the Addicts. If you're just joining us, there are 3 changes to Dean Holden's starting 11. We see the experienced defender Michael Hector coming into the team. Terry Taylor handed his first senior home debut at the Valley, and Daniel Canoe comes into the 11. And our skipper, George Dobson, celebrates his 100th appearance for the club. Gents, before we hand over to our commentary team, Curbs, I'll come to you first. How do you see this one unfolding?
Well, I think we need to get off to a good start. And I think that, for me, we've been sort of saying that we need to score some goals and look like we can score some goals. And Dean's reacted by going with 2 forwards. It looks like 2 forwards anyway. We'll have to see how we shape up. But, is that going to give us more goal scoring opportunities? Because that's what we need.
And if you haven't bought your match pass yet, you've still got time. Hurry up and purchase it for £10 so that you can watch this match and, of course, join us at half-time for all the analysis as well. And just quickly, Brownie, I saw a stat in the week that Corey Blackett-Taylor has produced more attempts on goal or chances created from forward runs than any other player in League One. That's fantastic. Brilliant that he's gone off to such a good start. But we need to spread that attacking threat out a little bit more. Do you think our change in shape and the introduction of Canoe might help that?
Yeah, well, he's naturally more of a forward than Jack Payne is, and I agree with Curbs. I think Jack needs to be off the striker. I know he played sort of in that position at Swindon, but it's a different ask up in League One, and I think he would be much more comfortable off the striker. In Kanu, you've got a bit more of a direct, forward-thinking striker who will take up positions, more natural positions in the box. The Blackett-Taylor one's an interesting one. So you've got all those stats. It's the ratio of goals scored off of those stats that are going to become important for Corey moving forward. But you know, I look at that front three, and that should produce opportunities today. And if we can get our noses in front and force Port Vale to come onto us, it should be a good day.
Curbs, it's a beautiful sunny day in southeast London. The valley looks fantastic. What a good occasion would it be for Alfie May to get off the mark? Well, because he's worked so hard. He came so close, hit the crossbar, and Dobbo pinched his goal on the opening day of the season.
Oh, no, he did, didn't he? But, no, he's come really close. He had the volley in the first game, didn't he?